In this video, I'm gonna give you the ultimate guide to using Instantly.ai to book more meetings and grow your business. Even if you're a complete beginner, this step-by-step guide will walk you through exactly how to get set up effectively, from setting up your emails, to building your lists, to using our AI tools, to launching your full campaign. This video will have it all. So without further ado, let's get into it. First things first, of course, what you would want to do is you want to go to Instantly and you wanna go ahead and click on Get Started and then log in with your information. Once you're logged in, the first thing that we'll want to do when getting started is we want to set up our email accounts. A lot of people, when they start cold email, and myself included, when I first started cold email, I would send from my main company domain. And the problem with this is you only have so much capacity with your main domain. And the problem is if you start blasting cold emails from your main domain, eventually what's going to happen is, and all of your emails are going to end up in spam. It is getting flagged as spam because you're sending a lot of redundant emails over and over again. So to combat that, what we want to be able to do is we want to be able to add a new account into Instantly.ai. When we log in and we create our account, on the left-hand side, we'll see email accounts. What we're going to do is we're going to click on the right-hand side and we're going to click on Add New. And as you'll see, there are 3 different email options, starting with connecting existing. So let's just say you have a bunch of email accounts and you want to just get those set up inside of your Instantly. Maybe you bought a bunch of domains and you already have emails ready to go. Perfect. We can set up whether that's Google, whether that's Microsoft, or whether that's any other provider. So for example, if I just click on Google, what it will allow you to do is just have an OAuth, which is super fast and super easy to set up. And it has a tutorial step-by-step guide on how to do that. If it is a Microsoft account, you can also do that really quickly through just clicking here and then following these step-by-step instructions. And in addition, there are a lot of different tutorials on how to make sure that your settings are set up properly so that you can actually make sure that your emails are going to be sent and delivered, which is highly recommended to do. If you are just getting started with cold emails and you don't have any email accounts and you want to set up new accounts, this is what I would recommend doing right now. It's the done for you email setup. This by far takes away so many tech headaches, so many roadblocks, so many potential misses that are caused by human error. Because with the connecting existing accounts, there is a little bit of a tech setup, which can be completely avoided. So if we want to do a done for you setup, what this does is Instantly will actually set up your accounts. They'll choose the domain. It'll automatically reconnect. It'll save you time and money. It's just as cheap as connecting existing accounts, if not cheaper. It'll give you good IP accounts, delivery optimized, which is important, and so much more. So all we have to do here is, let's just say my domain name is Agents U. In addition, what you could do is you could basically have it be contextual to what you're offering, getmoreleads.com, whatever your offer is, but that's how you do it. And then what it'll do is it'll give you some suggestions. You can search for more, et cetera, et cetera. Then what you want to do is you want to select the quantity that you would like to purchase. The rule of thumb here is for every domain, we'll want to get 5 different emails, and this will automatically set up 5 different emails for you. And then from each email, you'll be able to send around 30 emails per email that you purchase. So if you get 1 domain, then you'll be able to send 150 emails every single day, because each email will be able to send 30 emails a day. So depending on your offer, depending on your total addressable market, depending on how many emails that you're wanting to send, that is the rule of thumb. That's the math that you want to know when going about this. So let's just say I'm going to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 domains. Then that means I'll be able to send 250 times 3, which is 750 emails per day. Then I go ahead and click on next. And here's what's also cool is you can set up a forwarding domain. So anytime somebody goes to the websites that you just decided to purchase, then that will automatically redirect to the forwarding domain that you have set up. And then if you have a sender first name, if it's coming from you, then you can automatically have that set up down below and it'll automatically set up all the emails. Then all you need to do is click on place order and we go back to our email accounts and we will be able to see all of our emails automatically being warmed up here. And the warm up is a paramount step that we don't want to skip, because if our emails are not warmed up, then they're going to get flagged really quickly. So if you are going about this, just expect about a 2-week warm up period. You can click into the warm up. You can see how many warm up emails have been sent, how many warm ups have been received. And it'll also give you a warm up email health score, which will allow you to know what's happening with all of your emails and make sure that you can have confidence in sending the emails. If you go to settings, I like daily campaign limit of 30, and that's pretty much about all that I set up. If you guys do have a signature, then you could add the signature there with no links. That's the first way to do it. Again, about a 2-week process. You'll be able to see and have visibility on all of your warm up, on all things that are happening from like a warm up perspective, how many emails you're sending every single day, the health score, and basically when you'll be able to start using them. The third way to set up your email accounts is the pre-warmed accounts. So what we have is we have pre-made accounts and domains that are pretty much ready to go. So that means you can skip the warm up. These have already been warmed up. So what we can do is we can just click on on continue, and we can already select domains that are contextual to potentially our offer, or if we're like, hey, we want to send emails as soon as possible, then this is going to be the route for you. All you need to do is select the emails, click on next, and then you can go ahead and start using them as quickly as today. And you can also set forwarding domain, which is really cool, and then place order, and those will be ready to use as soon as possible. The email accounts tool isn't just source of your email accounts, but it's going to give you data. Is your email deliverability good? Is your email address still effective? Is there issues with your email address? Because what it's going to do is it's going to monitor it consistently, and you'll be able to see if there's errors. You'll be able to see if the warm-up is paused for any reason. And this is the first thing that we want to do when we get started with Instantly, is to get our emails in there. The second thing that we want to do while our emails are warming up, or before we get started, what I would recommend doing is setting up our Instantly Copilot. So Instantly Copilot is basically ChatGPT for cold email. It's a really, really effective tool in basically letting AI pretty much manage all of your cold email campaigns. But with any AI, you get what you put into the foundations of it. So what I would recommend as a next step is to set up your Instantly Copilot. We'll be able to see a section called memory. It's basically getting the foundation of all of our business. We're basically training Instantly Copilot on our offer, what we do, how we help people, so that the outputs are consistent and they're actually good and really superior to what I would do in the first place, and highly recommend using it, especially from the jump and if you are newer to cold email. So if I go to memory, first thing that's going to ask you is a little bit about the business details. You could pop in your website and it can actually scrape your website and it could fill this in for you, or you could basically fill this out manually. Either way is a solid option. AI will get you to the first step, but I would recommend using the human eye and in your eye to make sure everything is consistent. So we have our website in here, you have your company name, and then basically business description of what you actually do, any awards, and then the outreach goal for this. So maybe you're trying to book more meetings, maybe you're trying to send a lead magnet, maybe you're trying to invite people to a workshop, maybe you're trying to invite people to a podcast, etc., etc. So that's the first step. We want to be really present and take our time in doing this, especially as things are warming up. Next thing is the customer profiles. So what this allows us to do is this allows us to define who it is we're reaching out to. Basically trains Instantly Copilot to know about your customers so that it can write copy that actually speaks to their pain points. Because when we get to the copywriting part, what we want to do is we want to make sure that the pain points are inside of Instantly Copilot, so that when we're giving it prompts, when we're asking it questions, it can in fact create campaigns that are contextual to what it is that we're actually offering. So what we'll be able to do is we can create multiple ICPs, but for this one, we could say this is my ICP. We could basically put their name in there. We could say the problems solved, problems that you guys solve, the benefits of what you guys offer, what you guys actually offer, your unique selling points, customer goals, success stories, email actions. Maybe it's book a call, maybe it's invite to a workshop, communication style, company size, industry, job titles, etc. Just from like a list building perspective, that's going to be super, super helpful. Finally is the guidance. So basically this is just giving guidance on when writing cold email campaigns and really just giving rules and boundaries. I like to say keep the email short, maximum 40 words. You should never use more than 8 to 10 words per sentence. If needed, split it. Clarity closes, jargon kills. Each sentence should be 8 to 10 words max. Break ideas into high impact lines. Rule, lead with value first. Don't just offer a call. Offer a quick one they can ignore. Personalized audit, competitor breakdown, sales asset. Start with a pain point that hits their wallet. So I want to make sure that it's financially implication, or there's a financial implication of what it is that we're actually speaking to them. And then rule, end with a call to action that makes saying yes the obvious move. That is setting up your Instantly Copilot. We'll get into this a little bit more as we start using the tool, and I'll show you a little bit more how we'll be able to actually use this in our cold email campaigns once we get there. But as your emails are warming up, as you're starting to set the foundation and just get everything set up for Instantly and prepared, we want to make sure we have a really solid foundation, because the stronger our foundation, the bigger the house that we'll be able to build. So this is part of the foundation in setting up your cold email and is integral for making your life so much easier, which you will see later on as we get into this. The next thing that we'll need to do inside of Instantly is we want to start to build our lists. And basically what we'll be able to do is we'll be able to build a list in a couple of different ways. Let's just start with Instantly Copilot since we are here. So what we'll be able to do is we click on Find Ideal Prospects, and we can go ahead and click on Send. And what this will do is, based off of the memory that we gave Instantly Copilot, it'll go ahead and maybe clarify what it is that I'm asking, or go ahead and build the list specifically. So I'll just say I want marketing agency owners in the United States founders and CEOs only. Let's see what this comes up with. And what it's going to do for me is it's going to generate lead filters and go ahead and pull me a suggested list of marketing agency owners in the United States. That's option number one, based off of our memory, based off of us being able to chat with it. And what's cool here is I can go ahead and open this in Super Search, which is the tool that basically allows us to find the list of leads, which I'm going to show you here in a second, and start basically using this list immediately. The second way is we can go directly to Super Search. And what Super Search is, it's a database essentially of over 450 million contacts, and it's all in one. So all we really need to do is we need to use the filters on the left-hand side to create our ideal client profile so that we can build a list and find the list of emails from them. So two ways to do it inside of the Instantly Super Search. One, I could just type in, I want to target real estate agents in California, for example. What it will automatically do is go ahead and pull a list of leads for me and automatically add the filters. Or what I can do is I can go ahead and create the filters myself. So let's just say I want a job title of real estate agents for this example. And then I wanted location, United States. And there's a lot of different filters that we can use. Obviously, job titles is one, management levels. So entry level, senior, director, owner, executive manager, department, engineering, human resources, sales, support, location, whether the contact is located there, the company headquarters, industry and keywords. There's a lot of different industries that we could filter by and choose. Keywords, I like to use keywords as well. Like maybe I'm targeting HVAC and I want to be a little bit more specific. Including the keywords will help you there. Employee amount, obviously you can do that. Revenue range, lookalike domains, job listings if they have a job listing in the specific role that they have that they're hiring. Technology, so if you're looking for people using Shopify, maybe you're targeting e-com people, it's a great one. Industry news, you'll be able to search basically by if they have any news like receive funding, office closure, market expansion, client acquisition, etc., etc. Now what we'll be able to do, we can go ahead and click on find emails. And what's going to pop up is find emails and enrich. So first option is going to be work email. So this is going to verify the contact. We want to make sure that we are verifying the email. And what's cool about this is it's going to go through a 3-step verification process, because what we don't want to do is we don't want to find a list of emails and then come to find out that the emails that we got are old emails. They left the company. The email doesn't even exist. And we start sending emails and everything goes into spam, and this is completely ineffective. So paramount to do this, finding the work email, that is going to be important because it's going to go through a multi-step filtering system to make sure that we're actually finding email. Fully enriched profile, what this does is this will find them on LinkedIn, their LinkedIn headline, their LinkedIn summary, their LinkedIn link, their company description, and so much more, which is really important if we want to basically use further information about this prospect in our personalized lines, which I'm going to show you here in a little bit. And I can go ahead and click on continue, and then I can just say I want to enrich 25, I want to enrich XYZ, then I'm going to click on just 25. What we're going to see is we're going to see the enrichment process. We can see that it's validating the work email, which is super important. And then we'll be able to see the fully enriched profile from the contact headline, the contact summary, the job level, the department, industry, company description, company website, company size, how many connections they have, and so much more. This gives me the confidence that when I'm actually going to be sending these people emails, I know that their emails are in fact valid. And I know that when I send them the email, I'm actually landing in the inbox of who I'm sending this email to, which at the end of the day is why cold email is so awesome, is we can actually guarantee that we're getting in front of our ideal customer and getting our message in front of our ideal customer. Once the lead list has been fully enriched, we have a few options here. We can select all of these. We could download them. We could assign people to leads. We go ahead and move these to a campaign if we wanted to that we have pre-built. There's a lot of things that we could do. But before we do any of that stuff, I want to show you a few more tools and tips and tricks that we can do inside of the lead lists that will make your outreach even more effective. First things first, if I click on add a column, what we can do is we can add more enrichments. So let's just say I'm looking for people for job listings. Well, what this will pull is it'll pull all of the listings that they have for jobs, essentially. So it'll basically show you the roles that this company has available. So if you are looking for people who are hiring a lot of people and you want to use that as an angle of, hey, saw you're hiring for account executive, you guys must be growing. With growth, you might need to hire more people, or you might need more leads. We can get a list of the technologies that the company has used. News, we can find the latest news from the web. Funding type, if they've been funded, we can see what kind of funding that they've been able to have. So what we could do is we could just click on update and run. And what it would do is go ahead and add columns for each of those enrichments that we just added. And then we can see new columns be added with company news, company funding, technologies, and job listings, which is something that we can use going forward. What's even cooler is if I go ahead and click here and I click on use AI, we'll be able to see our ability to basically write prompts and basically create personalized lines at scale. When I first started cold email, I remember I had a Google sheet and I would write personalized lines manually and it would take me forever. And it was just a hassle. And then when ChatGPT came out, there was like a plugin and it was just a huge time suck for me and not effective and not effective whatsoever. Now what we can do is we can actually link in our ChatGPT account and we can actually use different AI models to write personalized lines and write our own prompts. So a couple ways we can do that is one, we can do it custom by writing our own. There's a ton of different templates in here that we can use based off of the key data from the enriched profile, whether that's the company headline, the company summary, whatever it could be. And I'm gonna show you guys how to use this later on. So stay tuned, stick with me guys. And we can then use different lines. And if I just wanted to write a compliment, cool, I can do it based off of the contact summary. And then what I could do is I could just type in compliment. And then if I click on generate test output, it'll give me what that could actually look like. Let's just say we wanted to write our own personalized line. What we can do is we can go ahead and just write our own AI prompt. So let's just say I wanted to write a personalized line for a real estate agent. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm just gonna go ahead and copy over a prompt that I built. I help real estate agents get more seller and buyer leads. The prompt needs to be a good prompt because the better the prompt, the better the output. And then these little brackets indicate based on their headline, which is going to be the LinkedIn headline and summary, that's what we're going to write the personalized line on. Then we're gonna do output column, and we're just going to say personalized line V1. And then what we can do is we can generate a test output to see how it goes. And then as we scroll down, we can see what the test output is just so we can validate the prompt if we are doing a custom prompt. And then if we feel good about it, we can just click on generate and then we can enrich the first 25 leads. And then what will be queued up is the personalized line based off of the headline that we created. What we could also do is we could write the email with AI. So I can go ahead and give guidance based off of the headline, summary, and company website. Start with high name, no jargon, no fluff. This is just like a prompt example. I can go ahead and click on generate output and it will literally write my whole email for me based off of what I prompted it with. Then I can just go ahead and validate this prompt. This looks good. Let's just click on generate, enrich 25 rows. And then I can see AI email has been queued up and that is writing the AI email, which is really, really cool. What's also cool, guys, is inside of the AIs, we can select different models, whether we want to use OpenAI, whether we want to use Grok 4, whether we want to use Claude, whether we want to use DeepSeek. There are a lot of different options out there that you can then select from, which is phenomenal and gives you a lot of different models that we can use and test for our personalized lines or AI emails. So what used to take me hours literally just got done in less than 5 minutes. The longest part is creating the prompt, but with the generating test output, this makes rapidly testing them really, really easy. So now we have the list built, optimized, ready to go. I can hover these, I can check them out. I could use the emails if I wanted to, and these have now been saved in our lead lists. Next thing that I want to do is I want to create a campaign. So what I'm going to do is go to campaigns. I'm going to click add new. I'm just going to type in instantly demo. And I'm going to go ahead and click on continue. Then what I'll be able to do is I'll be able to go back to Super Search, go to my lead lists, find the lead list that I just had, select all results. I can go ahead and move these to a campaign and I can go ahead and move them to instantly demo and click on confirm. Then I go back to my campaign and I can see that this is now created. So all the leads that I just created, optimized, all that sort of stuff have been added in here. I can see the personalized line, I can see the email in there, and I can see everything is pretty much ready to rock. So inside of my campaign, we'll see a few different tabs. We have analytics where we can see basically the analytics of just the campaign. We can see the leads, which is what we just added from all verified leads. So we can see that 20 got moved over, which means 20 of them were actually verified. So from the 25, we can feel confident that 20 are verified and ready to go. Let's go ahead and move over to sequences. What we'll be able to see here is we have step 1, which is basically the first email that's basically going to get sent out. So first things first is we want to just write our subject line. We could just say hi. And then what's cool is this little lightning bolt. We can do a personalized line. So I could say hi first name. If I click on preview, subject line, hi Joy. Then down below, this is where we can go ahead and begin our email. So again, a couple different options for writing emails. One, you can write it manually. Nothing wrong with that. Super solid when it comes to writing the emails. Hi, variables, first name, saw you were, we help. Could I send you a campaign example that could help? Cheers. Cool. So if we wanted to write it manual, what we'll be able to do is we could take variables like the first name. So I can go ahead and do that. Hi, Joy. Saw you were saw you work at variables, company name. And these variables are coming from the lead lists. So what we can see is just from like a list building perspective is everything in a column we can then use. What's also awesome is we could use AI to generate our content. So I could do AI sequence writer. So I could say my company name is Agency U. We help real estate agents generate 2 to 3 buyer leads per day using our social reel system. Cool. Real estate agents, continue. We helped John get 2 listings in 2 weeks. Sally added 3 buyer in 1 week. James got $200,000 in GCI in 6 months. Obviously put yours in there, the number of sequences, and click on generate. And then what we'll be able to do is we'll be able to preview the sequences that AI is automatically writing based off of our offer, based off of case studies, based off of all that sort of stuff. So if I wanted to use this, I could go ahead and click on use sequence, and then everything would be added. Let's go ahead and just delete all of these and just use the AI one that we had. And let's just add in first name. So if we wanted to use our personalized line, I could do hi, variables, first name, and then I can find the variable of what we created, which was what? Personalized line. We just helped John add 2 listings last week and thought you could be a fit for our social real estate system. I came up with a couple of post ideas for you that could get you started this week at no cost. Let me know if you want me to drop it here. The most important part in writing the cold email is, in fact, the call to action and offer. So what we want to make sure is that we're not asking for a booked call immediately. I would check out the Instantly Accelerator if you want to get a little bit more tactical on that and how to write cold emails. But basically the call to action is we want to lead with value, because what we're trying to do inside of cold emails, we're trying to get them to raise their hand. So I'm going to not speak too tactically because we have a lot of resources on there. I'm just trying to show you how to actually set this up. But for this example, I added in my personalized line. I can go ahead and click on preview. Hi, Joy. That's awesome. 5 years of putting people first at Coldwell Banker, Maine, and still excited to help. Says a lot about your heart and steady care clients remember. We just helped John add 2 listings. So I would need to make sure this flows a little bit better, but this is an example of how we use the personalized line that is extremely personable and integrating it with more of a custom one. Cool. If I wanted to check a different one, I could change the names and preview them there. What else I can do with the AI tool is I can go ahead and click on spam checker. So it'd say at no cost, spam word. Okay, let's go ahead and switch that up. Apply. Now I have confidence that this email is ready to rock and good to go. Another AI tool is going to be a spin tax writer. So if you're sending a high volume of leads, what's cool is it will create spin tax, which basically means it'll create variations of specific lines, specific sentences that we can do to swap out. So for example, this says random hi, hello, hey. If I click on preview, it'll pick one of those. So what it's going to do is it's going to spin each variation based off of what we took. So you could switch those out here. We recently helped. Just last week, we assisted. Our team just supported. John, I came up with, I've developed, I've brainstormed. Let me know if you want me to drop it here, want me to send them over, etc. So this helps just create variation to avoid spam. If you're sending in 30 a day, it's probably going to be okay. Last but not least, if we wanted to add in our emails. So I can just go ahead and find the AI email that we wrote, and then we can just say, cheers, Austin. So let's just say we came up with a banger prompt. Let's go ahead and use that. Click on preview, and everything is already written for me. We know that every email is going to be a variable. Let's just say, Austin, I don't really know. I want to figure out what's going to work best. What we can do is we can click add variant. We could use the same email, and then let's just say we want to test out the subject lines. I want to test out quick question first name and hi first name. I also want to test out, is the personalized line better? Is the full email better? Is Instantly's AI better? Let's just try this. And then we can go ahead and add in the variables, personalized line. And then I can click on save. And then basically what they're going to do is they're going to rotate between 3 of them. And in our analytics, we'll be able to see which is a clear winner and which is not. That's pretty cool from like a step 1 perspective. All right, Austin, we have the first email set up. How do I follow up with these people? Because I'm just going to blast all these emails. How do I make sure that they're actually going to follow up? Well, we can just click on add step. And then if we leave this empty, what it's going to do is it's going to use the last subject line that we used. We could just say, just following up here. We could also use this in the list and we could create a follow-up. Any thoughts on getting the piece of value that I said I would send? Obviously, that's going to be what you said in the last one. Cheers, Austin. Cool. And then what we can do is we can say, do we want to send this 2 days later, 1 day later, 3 days later, whatever it could be. And let's say we want to send another follow-up, same thing. Let's change this to 2 days, and then it'll use the same subject line, and we can switch this up. One last check-in here. Are you all good on scaling? Again, tactically, I'm not going to get into too much of the tactics of copywriting. I'm more so trying to show you how to use this. Tens of thousands of people are using this effectively, and we have a lot of resources on how to tactically use right copy. But general principle is we want to lead with value. We want the call to action to be getting them to raise their hand. So come up with something really, really strong and short, sweet, to the point. So from a tactical perspective, I like to say, 80 words max, a short, sweet, to the point, add in a case study if you can, and then call to action is something to get them to raise their hand that you can send them for free. Okay. What works in cold email is the value first approach. Once they respond, then that turns a prospect into an actual lead, and then that becomes who you actually follow up with. So our real intention here from writing emails is to get them to raise their hand and respond to the emails. This is tactically, or from a demo perspective, how we actually set it up to make it effective. So let's just say we feel really good about our emails, AI emails, making sure when I send 100 leads in a sample sequence, we want them to be simple yes. So personalized line, pain point, offer, essentially what we do, and then call to action. If you wanted to, there's also a ton of different templates that you could choose from, et cetera, et cetera. Now what we can do is we can go ahead and click on save, and then let's move on to schedule. Okay, from a scheduling perspective, we could just call this business hours, and we can just choose, okay, do I want to send from 9 to 6? Cool, sweet. Do I want to send Monday through Friday or Monday through Sunday? All these, go ahead and click on save. Then it'll save right here, so we could select it if we wanted to, and then go ahead and click on options, and then accounts to use. So these would be all the emails that you purchased or have warmed up, ready to go, and stop sending emails on reply. I like to enable that. Open tracking to disable that because it affects the deliverability. So we want to make sure that's not on. A daily limit. So this will be when we set up our emails, it'll basically add in the max amount of emails that we can send and add all those up based off of how many emails that we have inside of here. Assuming that each one has 30 emails a day, then that's what that number shows us. If I go to advanced options, a couple more things that we can do. We can add tags. It's called real estate, great. And then owner, if you wanted to change just the owner of who's responsible for the leads, perfect. Time gap, I like to leave that blank. Prioritize new leads. That's basically reaching out to new leads over scheduled follow-ups, depending on how many emails that you can send. If that's an issue, I would basically just get more emails. Optimize AZ testing. So I could basically do it on reply rate. So if we're testing multiple things, then this will pick the winner, which could be helpful. Provider matching. This is super, super cool and super important for deliverability. What I like to do, depending on the deliverability, is I like to match Google to Google. So I know that the emails that I set up are coming from Google. So I want to basically just send to Google. That will improve our deliverability. Stop campaign for company on reply. So that basically means if you're sending to multiple people within the company and you're trying to get a hold of somebody, then it'll read that domain and it'll stop there. Stop on auto reply. No, because a lot of those are often like out of offices. Insert unsubscribe link here. So if you wanted to automatically add your unsubscribe link there. Allow risky emails. So if you wanted to send to potentially risky emails, then you could check those as well. And then CC and BCC. So if you want to add your accounts to that, that's an option. Then all we need to do is go ahead and click on launch. And then once we launch it, what we'll be able to see is we'll be able to see our campaign is live and it is tagged real estate. And then we'll be able to see our progress. We'll be see how many was sent, how many replies we got, our reply percentage, and how many opportunities came from that. So that's pretty much writing a campaign, creating the campaign, and making sure that everything is set up appropriately. Okay, so now that we've launched this campaign, where do all these emails go? How do I organize all this sort of stuff? Is my email inbox about to be blown up? The answer is all the emails that we just set up, all the campaigns, all the emails that we're about to be sending are going to go to what's called the Unibox. And the Unibox is really cool because it takes all of the emails that we just created and it adds in any reply that we get, it just goes directly to the Unibox, which makes managing campaigns super simple, makes replying super simple, it makes organizing super simple, and so much more. But before I give a tour of the Unibox, I need to hit on a feature that can save you hours and hours. And that is going to be the AI agents. And specifically, what we're going to build is we're going to build a reply agent, meaning that whoever replies in this campaign is going to automatically get a response without me needing to manage the Unibox and worry about replying. So really simple to do this. And I would set this up as soon as we get this launched. So on the left-hand side, you'll see AI agents. And what you can do is you can go ahead and click on add new. You can just type in real estate campaign replies. I can go ahead and click on continue. I'm going to do an AI reply agent. I'm going to do fully autonomous. That means that it's going to automatically reply to all inbound leads that I just set up. And what we'll be able to do is we'll be able to set this up. Should it handle follow-ups? Sure. Should it respond to automatic emails? No. Or I'm going to do no follow-ups because we already have that set up in our campaign. campaign objection, declines, or negative replies? Yes. Then I can go ahead and click on continue, and I can go ahead and click on the tags. So as you remember in the campaign, we tagged that campaign real estate. Then I can pick the tone of voice, friendly, neutral, matter of fact, professional. I can do it concise, standard, thorough. I can make this concise. And then here's where we can train the reply agent. So if I click on new guidance, what I'll be able to do is I want you to send over this link if it is a positive reply. Then I want you to ask them if they'd be open to a demo of the social real estate system that's helped 100 agents get $750K in GCI this month alone. If it's a negative reply, you can tell them we'll take them off the list, be short and direct. And then I can click on optimize, and then this will create my communication style. Wonderful. Then I can go ahead and click on save. Context and clarification. So not too much that I would need to add here. Create custom guidance on follow-up questions the AI agent should ask. You can ask them how they're currently getting leads after the lead magnet has been sent. Click save. Hand over an escalation. If they said they want to book a call, go ahead and send it over, save. I can add any more guidance that's going to be relevant, etc., etc. Then I can actually integrate it with Slack. So I can get notifications from a Slack perspective, click on add agent, and then this is ready to go. Once the AI agent is set up, we'll be able to see the activity feed. They are automatically sending emails. We'll be able to see the emails, and I can always reconfigure it here. If I want to just review the emails, then I can turn that off, and I can make sure that getting a second set of eyes before it actually goes out, which is always an option. But if you wanted to send automatically, you can put that bad boy on autopilot mode. How do I organize everything? How do I make sure everything stays dialed in? How do I make sure this is actually working? How to make sure that this is actually firing and going to be winning strategy for me? Okay. Again, the Unibox. So inside of the Unibox, what we'll be able to see all of the emails that have been received from the campaigns that we've launched. So instead of having to sort through all of our emails, we have all these inboxes created. Do I have to pop through every single inbox? No, everything is going to go to one simple inbox, which is the Unibox. What's cool is I can go to status and I can filter by specific statuses. I can go to campaigns. I can filter by specific campaigns. I can filter by specific inboxes from the emails that we set up. And it makes it really, really easy for us to manage the Unibox. And inside of the Unibox, what I'll be able to do is if I click into a contact, for example, what's going to automatically happen is it's going to automatically change the pipeline status. So is it a lead? Are they interested? And what Instantly.ai will do automatically is it'll go ahead and read the sentiment of the email, and it'll either make it as out of office, not interested, interested, and a lead. And what we can do if that maybe isn't accurate is we can go ahead and organize it ourselves. And if I wanted to click into one and I wanted to reply, all I need to do is click on the reply, and it'll reply from the email that's already set up inside of our email domains. And we can just simply type our reply in here and go ahead and click on send. And we can even set up a follow-up if we don't get a reply in 1 week. So what we also did is we set up the AI agents. What we'll be able to see is the little tags of AI up here. That tells me that this person was responded to using AI. What we can see here is there's tons and tons of emails being responded to from the reply agent. If you want to use the reply agent, but you want to review them, what that would look like is it would basically give you a preview of what you could send, and then you could just go ahead and click on send reply. So if you're monitoring it, if you want to make sure that this AI agent is actually working effectively, it'll give you a preview and you just edit it, or you can just click send reply directly from there. So super easy to do. Furthermore, inside of the Unibox, what we'll be able to do is we could edit the lead and we can make notes inside of here if we wanted to. We could see all the activities from that specific lead. We could even click into the lead and we can find LinkedIn profile. We can find in specific information that we pulled from that specific contact. So if they replied, you're like, oh, I want to send something based off of their LinkedIn profile, or I want to connect with them on LinkedIn. Boom, you can do that directly inside of the Unibox. Small little tools that you can do. You can add a note just to keep organized in everything that you're doing so that you can actually increase the likelihood of you actually getting responses and winning deals. Furthermore, guys, what we'll be able to see is we'll be able to go to this section called CRM. And inside of the CRM, if we click on opportunities, we'll be able to see everybody who is marked as interested, everybody who's marked as meeting booked, everybody who's marked as meeting complete. And we'll be able to use this essentially as a CRM and to judge our effectiveness from our cold email campaigns. So what I'm able to do is I'm able to move them around. I can say, hey, anybody interested? These are the people that I really need to follow up with and really need to make sure that I'm really being diligent so that I am getting this person from interested to meeting booked. And we can change the 7 days to month to date to last 4 weeks, et cetera, et cetera. We can change the opportunity value if we wanted to in our settings. We could add more pipelines if we wanted to set up even more follow-ups in there, and we could just maneuver them from like a follow-up perspective. There's a lot that you can do from an organization perspective so that you can just keep track of everything and make sure that you in fact are on track. We can see it by campaign, we can see it by list, all that sort of stuff. If I go to leads, then we'll be able to see the leads. If I go to sales flows, what I'll be able to do is I could create specific flows based off of specific actions. So for example, what I could do is in my campaign, if lead status is interested in the last 7 days, then what I could do is I could create a list based off of that specific demeanor. Another cool feature is website visitors. So what we'd be able to do is we'd be able to set up a code inside of our website. And what we would be able to do is we'd be able to create lists based off of people who visited our website. And then from that, what we'd be able to do is we'd be able to send them emails because we can actually get their emails from the people that visited our website, which is a really cool tool and a really way to segment and build specific lists based off of people who have visited your website but didn't purchase. A great way to send a warm email. We can do it by revenue. We can add them to a specific lists and so much more. So really, really cool tool that is a little bit more advanced if that is something that you guys would want to set up. I have my campaign set up. I have my campaigns going out. I have my reply agent set up. How do I make sure that these are actually effective? Well, on the left-hand side, we'll see something called analytics. And what we'll be able to see is we'll be able to see basically all of our campaigns in one. We'll be able to see how many emails that we sent, how many replied, what is our reply percentage, and how many opportunities have come from that. So we could filter that by last 7 days, last 12 months, whatever the date that you want to back. You can basically see all of your history when it comes to analytics. And you can see it by campaign, you can see it by account, basically the emails that are there. So you can see the score of the email to make sure that this is actually effective and so much more where we can make reasonable decisions. But how do I even read this? How do I make sure that this is actually optimized? How do I even use this from the perspective of optimizing and making sure that I'm doing this correctly? That's where we go back to Instantly Copilot. So based off of my past cold email campaigns that I've been sending through this account, what are the best strategies and what should I do going forward to optimize reply rates and opportunities? Then I can go ahead and send this through. And what Instantly Copilot will do is it'll go ahead and analyze all of my accounts. It'll analyze everything that I have and it will give me suggestions based off of that. So let's go ahead and see what this does. So then it'll give me a summary, observation, recommendations to optimize, and next steps. And I could say, what's been the best campaign? Where should it be? Can provide suggestions there. And what this is doing is it is getting all of my campaign analytics and it is providing suggestions. So instead of looking at the analytics, maybe being a little unclear, I would just go to Instantly Copilot and ask it for suggestions. So again, when it comes to analyzing your campaigns, you can go to the analytics and you can see everything from a campaign analytics perspective and you can see what is most effective, what is least effective, or you could use Instantly Copilot to provide deep instructions and audit, really audit your full workspace and audit all of your campaigns. Now you basically know everything that you need in order to get started with cold email and get started with Instantly. And it's one thing to get this up and running and to really understand the tool, but it's another thing to actually start getting deals. That's why in the video on the screen, I created a business completely from scratch. And as part of a challenge, I tried to get my first deal from cold email in less than 10 hours of work. So to see how I did it from everything from creating an offer to getting my first positive reply, go ahead and click on the video on the screen. Thanks so much for watching and we'll see you on the next one.